Hello everybody, I hope you're having an amazing day, and today I would like to share my final thoughts on the Sitivien knives model st139. This is a very enjoyable knife by the Sitivien company, and yeah, let's just get into a couple things that I could pull off here off of Amazon where I purchased it from. So this is the st139. Blade material in this is actually impressive, coming at this price point. It's 35 bucks, $34.99, and you can actually currently add a 5% coupon at checkout. So it takes off a couple bucks here and there. Sometimes Sitivien does other deals where if you buy multiple knives, you get a larger amount taken off of your total order. But for now, it just seems like it's just a 5% coupon. Hey, that's still cool. It's better than a lot of other companies do. There are 4 color variants. There are 2 G10 ones. There's one that has, it's mainly black G10, but it has these, they're like olive green inlays. There's another one that looks pretty gross, honestly. It's also black G10, and it has these bright ass yellow G10 inlays. And then there's my variant with the beautiful black stonewash blade and the brown burlap micarta, and then a green burlap micarta. They are all the same price. I don't typically trust dimensions off of Amazon, but I might as well just read some of them since they don't seem too off. Overall length of this knife is 7.48 inches. Blade length is 3.15 inches. Handle length is 4.33, and weight overall is 4.37 ounces. So doesn't feel unnecessarily heavy. It doesn't feel super light. It feels quite normal actually. And let's get into a couple size comparisons here. So let's start off with the Benchmades. Here is the Osborne 940. Very similar in handle length, but the Osborne definitely has a little bit more blade length. My Bug Out, again with the handle length, definitely a lot closer in cutting edge. It's just a much taller blade overall, and this has a full finger choil versus these two models, of course. And obviously the Bug Out doesn't. So this blade performs way better than my Benchmades because of how tall the blade is. Now something a little bit more comparable is the Spyderco Para 3. And then my Para 2. Sorry, there is some stuff on the blade. As schmancy as this knife is, I do use it. I just didn't bother cleaning it. Sorry about that. But very similar in handle length to the Para 3. The Para 3 just might be a little bit larger. Cutting edge, definitely, the Sitivien definitely has a little bit more cutting edge, but they both have full finger choils. But the finger choil is larger on the Sitivien, so that is something that is worth noting. We have the Demco 8020.5, another finger choil, large to medium sized knife, and my Sitivien knives Elementum. Now the Elementum doesn't have a dedicated finger choil, but it does have, where the flipper tab is, this flat spot up here. The Sitivien is still way more comfortable than these two knives. And last but not least, I have another one here actually, and this is essentially the crown jewel of my collection as of right now. But this is my ultra rare Native 5. It took 2 different knives to make this, so you can't buy it like that. And I mean, it's a pretty great freaking knife, but as much as I love this knife, this Sitivien is still way more comfortable because, and I chose this one. I actually have now 3 Native 5s in my collection. I have a lightweight that started it all. I have a flat G10 one, and then this contoured fluted titanium one. Now the fluted titanium one, it does have contouring to the scales. It's very, very light. But I will say that it's about the same amount of contouring that is on the Sitivien model. And the finger choil is larger because of how big that flipper tab looks when it's deployed, but when it's not, it's actually pretty average the way it sticks out there in the back. There is no jimping inside here, while there is, you know, half jimping on the Native 5 here. But I will say that, and even to talk about the pocket clip really quick, because if you guys have seen my unboxing of the Sitivien, I absolutely despise how this pocket clip looks. Now it works great, it works amazingly as the Native 5, the standard pocket clip on all Spydercos. They look like shit, but they work, right? So we all know that to be a fact. You know, they don't look great, but they work. This is very much the same thing. This doesn't look great at all. It looks god awful, but it works, and I don't feel it at all in my hand. It goes in and out of the pocket extremely well. So that'll be it for size comparisons. I guess let's talk about the overall build quality here. This is very similar to what I've experienced before with other Sitiviens. All the other Sitiviens I've had, they are in G10, and this was the only one, and actually the only knife I've ever handled in burlap micarta, and it's actually kind of nice. I like it. Now it is brown, not the biggest fan of brown, but I think it was executed quite well here. You probably can't see it too well, but there are some milling lines, so it's not super slick, but it is soft overall. And even back here where the lanyard hole is, that material right there gets extremely thin. Like, that is ridiculous. Like, if CRKT was manufacturing this, that would have been frayed a bunch or broken already, and I have an example of that. So, you know, this is already a significantly more just better overall company than CRKT, because they're able to take a material like this and machine it so well. And honestly, their machining and fit and finish is right up there with a lot of other brands that, you know, bring to the industry, you know, many knives that float around like the $150, maybe even $200 range. There are a lot of knives that I've handled and that are still in my collection that I love, that feel just as good as this. Now this does have the stone washing here on the blade, and it does go all the way down into where it interacts with the ceramic bearings. I haven't had this for too long. I have used it a good bit and I've enjoyed it. It has seen one sharpening, one stropping, and it's just a wonderful blade to use for sure. But it's not the quietest, as in it still sounds a little rough in there, and I'm pretty sure that is still because of the stone washing. Doesn't bug me, honestly. Again, this is a $35 knife, and there are a lot of great little engineering parts and bits of this that I actually enjoy, and I've seen on a lot of other knives that cost significantly more than this. I guess the overall design, it's a wonderful knife. The blade shape is a drop point, as clear as day drop point there, and it's great. Now, while it doesn't have any jimping up here, it's not sharp, it's not uncomfortable. It's very large, and I have large to extra large size hands, but I do have slim fingers, so there is plenty of room, and I don't think that I mean, I haven't gotten bit by this blade using it in this grip here, and I really don't believe that most people would, because it's just such a generous finger choil. It really is. The access to the lock bar is absolutely wonderful. It's very simple steel liners. There's no stick, there's no play in any direction, this way, sideways, up or down. It's just great, it really is. There's no detent ramp. I wouldn't expect it at this price point. There's a lot of other knives that are like $300, $400, $500 that detent ramp is just not really necessary. And this is one of those knives, it's just not necessary. If you disengage a lock bar all the way as you would normally, it's good to go and it's coming down. So I'm assuming this is still in the process of breaking in, as I mentioned about, you know, hearing how it sounds in there. It's not squeaky, it doesn't sound dry, it just sounds a little rough. I have taken this apart and cleaned it and did my basic maintenance on this. But yeah, it's just something that I'm gonna have to be okay with, I suppose. There is some milling down there in the steel liners, and the steel liners are actually very thin. I appreciate that. There are some knives that are at this price point where their steel liners are a lot thicker, which increases the weight overall and just kind of makes it unnecessarily heavy. Back here we have a black G10 backspacer. I think it's kind of funny that they did black G10 backspacer versus just making another Burlap micarta backspacer. I don't know if they ran out of materials or that was just a design choice, but yeah, so there's that. Jimping on this flipper tab here, my opinion hasn't changed from my unboxing. Could have used another one there or just done away with it all and done very fine jimping that was a little bit sharper. It works as long as you know, intend to flip it, and it's gonna come out, it really is. I can't, you know, reverse flick it. I'm pretty sure other people can. Maybe I could thumb flick it. Nope. There we go. So with a little bit of wrist and a lot of pressure pushing down, you can get that. I'm sure Jared over there at Neve's Knives, he can reverse flick this thing like nothing. But no, I definitely can't do that. The pivot here, this is a T8. A T8 on the other side is very easy to take apart. It is a D-shaped pivot, which is nice. I very much appreciate that. That's one of the things that I was mentioning about just engineering parts and design parts about this knife that make this exceptional versus knives that cost easily, you know, 3 times as much. So there are still knives produced by some of our favorite companies out there that still don't use a captured pivot. And while you may have to use two tools to take this apart the first time, if once you get everything set right, I didn't have an issue doing any adjustments later on with just having one tool through this backside over here. The rest of the body hardware, it's just down here. It's very clean actually, it's minimal hardware, I will say. These are T6, and then again for the pocket clip, this hideous thing is also T6. Here we do have a lanyard hole, as I showed you before. Very clean. It's out of the way. I don't think that they sacrifice space or anything up here to include this weird ass pocket clip. And I would say that that's pretty much it. This is a very comfortable knife. It's highly recommendable. And in the Sandvik 14C28N blade material, this stuff is great. It really is. I would say that it has the same edge retention as Nitro V and 14, that's what it is. 154 CM, CPM 154. Between those two, I haven't really noticed much of a difference. But yeah, this is an amazing like mid-grade steel material. It's way better than D2 in my opinion, and you're not gonna have, you know, those potential of rusting issues with D2. And where I live, I don't have any issues with D2. I have issues with M4. I have seen it rust literally within a couple hours of having it on my person, and I'm at work and getting sweaty and stuff. So that's why all the M4 I have in my collection now is coated, just to help out with that. And as much as I like silver blades, and I've never been a fan of black, I've really started to come around to black coated DLC, black wash, stone wash, and all these other different finishes, because I've noticed that they just hold up better and I'm an individual who actually uses my knives, so I can't keep them looking as good as long as I'd want them to if they were uncoated in silver. So regardless if you're buying like a really expensive ass knife and it has, let's say, a satin finish, if you cut through any material, eventually you're gonna start seeing some scratch marks going in the opposite direction. And in some lights, the satin finish is gonna really show off all those, you know, opposite direction scratches. Bead blast, kind of the same thing. A lot of people are moving away from liking bead blast. I think it's very clean, very simple, but I could see why people have an issue with bead blast. I'm for stonewash all day long. I love stonewash. I think it looks great. I think it's an amazing working finish. And the execution here in Sitivien stonewash is wonderful. It is. There was another knife that I had that I actually gifted to my fiance's uncle. It was a petrified fish. I think it was called the Pub. It was a big freaking knife with amazing action. That had the heaviest black stonewash I've ever seen, and that was gorgeous. That was a gorgeous black wash. This is not that, of course, but it is still really nice. It is a heavy stonewash, and I like that. It looks nice. But really, I don't have much more to say about this knife. If you can stand how awful that pocket clip looks, I'm sure that this is going to be an extremely enjoyable knife to use. Sorry, I bumped the camera there. It cuts great. It feels great in the hand. The overall fit and finish is wonderful and absolutely exceptional for this price point. This is just a great knife. I highly recommend it. I will be linking this down in the description. Hope you all have a wonderful day. And with that, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys watching.